the worst character in the X-Men world? Because I sure think so. Someone asked me a while back to make an episode about Mojo, and me hating Mojo with all of my soul has put it off because I think that's what the kids call self-care. But here we are, talking about Mojo. So, I guess let's just get into it. Please keep in mind that I always try to go into a character breakdown with the idea that this is someone's favorite character, so who am I to trash them? That will not be the case today. This dumpster fire first appeared in Longshot number 3 in July of 1985 and was created by Ann Nocenti and Arthur Adams, and I like to think they knew what they were doing when they created him. Mojo rules over Mojo World and the dimension known as the Mojoverse, both of which he named after himself because apparently naming things after yourself is mandatory when your ego has its own gravitational field. He's part of a species called the Spineless Ones, whose evolution basically hit a roadblock because, well, they have no spines. Fortunately, a scientist named Arise invented exoskeletons and the other mechanical devices that let them move around. Mojo himself gets around using various mechanical platforms, some with hover jets, other with creepy spider legs, because one horrifying mobility solution just was not enough, apparently. This technology let the Spineless Ones advance ridiculously quickly, eventually surpassing Earth's basic technology. But, unfortunately, all that progress came with a catch. Their society became completely obsessed with television. Because I don't know. Their short attention spans didn't exactly help, and eventually their entire political system became based around TV programs and ratings. Mojo climbed to the top because he controlled the television industry and knew exactly how to give people what they wanted: violence, spectacle, and most importantly, the X-Men of Earth 616 getting dragged into increasingly ridiculous situations. So, your usual television piece of trash. Slavery was also a major part of the Mojoverse society because of course it is, and Mojo made an absolute fortune from it because of course he did. Arise had genetically engineered a race of beings with spines to serve as slaves for the Spineless Ones, basing their appearance on mythological devils that conveniently looked a lot like humans. Two notable slaves he helped create were Spiral and Quark, whose head was shaped like a ram because apparently subtlety is never a priority here. Secretly, though, Arise had programmed all the slaves to eventually develop a desire to rebel against the Spineless Ones and fight for a more just society, which, as it turns out, was a pretty significant design feature. That rebellion finally showed up in Longshot, a slave who had become wildly popular as a stuntman on Mojo's television programs. Longshot grew increasingly fed up with the Spineless Ones and eventually started a rebellion. I feel you, Longshot. We're all increasingly fed up with them. Unfortunately, the revolution did not go according to plan. He escaped the Mojoverse, landed on Earth with Mojo and a bunch of bounty hunters hot on his heels. Longshot was found by Ricochet Rita, another stunt woman, and the two teamed up with Doctor Strange. Together, they defeated Mojo and forced him back to the Mojoverse. Longshot and Rita eventually followed him because I guess escaping one murderous television dictator just wasn't enough. They had a rebellion to finish. At some point, Mojo captured Betsy Braddock, who was Psylocke, after Slaymaster had blinded her. Mojo offered her cybernetic eyes, which she accepted, and the original New Mutants eventually rescued her and brought her back to Earth. The catch, though, Mojo had secretly turned those fancy new eyes into cameras, meaning he could remotely record everything Psylocke saw, including, conveniently, the adventures of the X-Men. Because nothing is for free, and even reconstructive surgery comes with a subscription package in the Mojoverse. Mojo later captured Longshot again, erased his memories, and sent him to Earth so he could eventually run into the X-Men. This somehow led to the X-Men getting captured as well. The New Mutants rescued them, and everyone made it back to Earth with Longshot. From Mojo's perspective, the plan had technically failed, but the televised adventure got fantastic ratings because that's all that matters when you're a dumpster fire. So naturally, Mojo still won. The ratings boosted his political power, proving once again that apparently nothing is more powerful than good television. When the X-Men were presumed dead after their battle with the adversary, Mojo stopped receiving signals from Psylocke's cybernetic eyes. Around the same time, he captured Phoenix, who is Rachel Summers, but she escaped the Mojoverse and defeated his Warwolves with help from the heroes who would become Excalibur. With the possibility of losing his biggest TV stars forever, Mojo did what any completely rational media mogul would do. He made his own X-Men, ones he could control. Eventually, he created the X-Babies. Yeah. I don't know. And they became massive rating machines. Everything was just going swell until the X-Babies decided they wanted to leave their contracts and rebelled against Mojo with Ricochet Rita's help. Turns out, tiny mutant superheroes also have opinions about exploitative employment practices. Mojo later captured Longshot again. Keep in mind that Mojo just has like the biggest thing for Longshot. He can't quit him. Which is so unfortunate for Longshot because Mojo is he's a piece of garbage. Mojo later captured Longshot again and scored his biggest ratings yet by capturing the X-Men and forcing them into the roles for the Wizard of X. Cyclops became the Scarecrow, Rogue became the Tin Woodman, Wolverine became the Cowardly Lion, and Dazzler was dragged into the Mojoverse too. Because nothing says serious mutant drama like Wolverine discovering his inner Cowardly Lion. It's just so dumb. Dazzler was then kidnapped by an ambitious clone called Mojo 2, who used her and other spine slaves to support the rebellion. When the final ratings came in, Mojo 2 won and replaced the original Mojo. And I can't tell you how annoying it is that there was more than one. One was bad enough, but we didn't deserve that. His reign was mercifully short, though, because the X-Babies eventually escaped the Mojoverse. They ran into Shadowcat, who is Kitty Pryde, who helped them turn the tables on Mojo's agents and get back home. Mojo tried creating even more X-Babies, but naturally they rebelled too. His latest batch include baby versions of basically every X-Man at the time, and shockingly, they escaped. Weird. Because Mojo isn't just irritating, he's stupid too. So Mojo moved on to the Avengers and created baby versions of them called the Mighty Vengers. Those little guys also turned on him and eventually teamed up with the X-Babies. And it's just, I get comics are weird. I get it. And I might find so much joy and laughter in the X-Babies and the Mighty Baby Avengers if it was anyone else championing this story. But Mojo's not the kind of dude you're like, yeah, you could babysit my kid. So it's kind of weird seeing him with a bunch of kids around. He's just all around bad. I don't know. So at this point, Mojo apparently decided that the problem was that he had been making baby heroes instead of baby villains. Yes, that's the problem. So he created baby versions of popular X-Men villains. This was somehow an even worse idea. Wild. Mojo World was reportedly destroyed by baby versions of Apocalypse, Holocaust, Dark Beast, and Sugarman. Much later, the dimension-hopping Exiles became stranded in the Mojoverse, which is just the worst-case scenario for anyone, after Mojo trapped them there. His goal was to keep Morph as an exclusive television star because the Mojo World audience absolutely loved Morph. Morph's antics were ratings gold, and the merchandise alone was making Mojo a ridiculous amount of money. Naturally, Mojo wanted to milk that cash cow for everything it was worth. Morph's teammates escaped and found Longshot, who helped them turn the tables on Mojo. During the final confrontation, Morph nearly killed Mojo, but the Time Broker intervened and ruined the party and warned that going through with it would seriously damage the time stream. So that's rude. So Mojo survived. The Exiles eventually had to deal with Mojo again when their leader, Heather Hudson, wanted to negotiate Longshot's release so she could join their team. Heather offered Mojo access to the video feeds from the Exiles headquarters, which essentially gave him a front row seat to the entire multiverse. Mojo agreed because, naturally, the ability to watch infinite realities was apparently the greatest bribe imaginable. But Mojo being Mojo, he just couldn't let someone go without being a complete jerk about it. Before releasing Longshot, he wiped his memories clean. Longshot still ended up helping the Exiles defeat Proteus, proving that even after Mojo steals your memories, your life, and probably your dignity, you can still somehow come back and ruin his ratings. Most recently, in Marvel Comics, we saw Mojo in the Age of Revelation event, which really does not matter too much because it was in the future and apparently never happened and there is no stakes at all. I hate Mojo so much. I hate this character. I hate stories with him. I've never read a story with Mojo I've liked. I hate everything about this character. So I tried to go out of my way not to read the stories, but I did read the one in Age of Revelation because I thought there was a pretty good chance that it would be a completely different Mojo or he would die. No, that's not what happened. My own brain lied to me. So yeah, thanks to the listener out there who asked me to make this video. I hope it was everything you pictured. Hope it was everything you dreamed about. Just know I hate you. So, I don't actually hate you. I just really hate Mojo. It's just one of those characters that just get under your skin and never leave. And he's just so irritating. And it's like when he talks, you just know he has this irritating voice. And then he was in X-Men 97 and I guess he was on Ozempic or something because he was really skinny then. And somehow that made him more annoying. I don't know. But I hate him. So yeah, I hope you learned something today. I hope I'm not alone in hating Mojo. And I hope you will like and subscribe. With that being said, have a marvelous day.